Hi, my educational infomercial is on amphetamines. So, what are amphetamines? Amphetamines are central nervous system stimulants. Basically, they speed up brain activity. They affect chemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, which help control focus, attention, impulse control, and hunger. Doctors prescribe amphetamines to help people stay awake, focus, and manage hyperactivity. For example, someone with ADHD and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder might take Adderall and amphetamine to help them stay on task at school or work, or just to focus in day-to-day life. Some of the most common prescription amphetamines are Adderall, Vyvanse, and Dexedrine. These drugs can be life-changing for people who genuinely need them, but when they're taking without a prescription, they can overload the brain with dopamine. That rush can feel good at first, but can often lead to anxiety, insomnia, and addiction. On the street, amphetamines go by names like speed, uppers, bennies, or pet pills. Using amphetamines without prescription is illegal. So, how do they affect the brain and body? In the brain, amphetamines cause a big surge of dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin, the chemicals that make us feel alert and happy. That's why users often feel a sudden burst of energy, focus, confidence, or even euphoria. It's like flipping a switch that turns your brain into overdrive. For example, some students say amphetamines or Adderall, which is common amongst universities, especially during finals week, makes it easier for studying or even pulling all nighters. But that boost doesn't last. Once the drug wears off, it often leads to a crash, leaving people anxious, irritable, and exhausted. Amphetamines don't just affect the brain, they change what's happening in your body too. They raise heart rate, blood pressure, increase body temperature, and suppress appetite. That's why a lot of users lose a lot of weight without realizing it. They're just never hungry. Other physical signs include dilated pupils, trouble sleeping, and sometimes even muscle twitches from overstimulation. If someone uses them for too long, their body can start to wear down. In the short term, side effects can include anxiety, irritability, insomnia, but the real danger shows up with long term use or abuse. Let's start with the brain. When someone takes amphetamines regularly, the brain starts to rely on them heavily to make them feel alert or even happy or just normal. This leads to an addiction intolerance, meaning that person needs that drug to just regularly function. Over time, users can develop memory problems, mood disorders like depression or paranoia, and even noticeable changes in behavior or personality. Now, for the body. Chronic use can cause serious heart issues such as high blood pressure or even heart attacks. It can also lead to severe weight loss, a weakened immune system, and in extreme cases, convulsions or ulcers. Now, let's look at some statistics. Studies show that about 11% of college students misuse amphetamines, so students that don't have a prescription, with higher rates among men, 14.6%, than women, 10.1%. It was also shown that amphetamine misuse is actually more common on college campuses than opioid use. Even among younger students, 4.1% of eighth graders reported using amphetamines in 2019, and a quarter of people who abuse these drugs started by age 13. So, why do students use this drug so much? Why is it so common, especially in universities, on college campuses, to be exact? So, here I have a graph from the National Library of Medicine. These statistics come from a survey of college students who reported using amphetamines without a prescription. As you can see, the bars with the highest percentages all have to do with trying to concentrate, focus, stay awake, and get things done. Things most college students struggle with and wish they could do more easily. About 64% said they use them to focus better, and another big portion said they take them to stay awake longer or improve their grades, be better in school. And honestly, I get it. College can be overwhelming with so many responsibilities and deadlines. And it can even be tempting at some points. But even though the reasons might sound relatable, using amphetamines without a prescription can be dangerous. They might seem like a quick fix, but over time, they can take a serious toll on your mind and your body. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening, and here are my references.